It's the power pivot. The moment she rips the gaze out of his hands and says, "Oh, dearie, someone else sees me as magic, even if you don't."
Reportedly written after catching him checking out another woman, here Carly basically clips off James's manhood with pinking shears and feminist grit.
Yeah, and Lorena Bobbitt thought she was the innovator.
Whatever. Carly was doing that in song form a full 13 years earlier.
This is the Marxists at the Movies podcast.
Marxists at the movies, bright and raw, breaking through the reels to rewrite the law. Workers of the world in every frame, changing the credits, rewriting the name.
Welcome to Marxists at the Movies, where we don't get mad, we get everything. I'm Edward Michael Francis, and yes, that is a First Wives Club reference, and honestly, it fits, because Carly Simon basically lived that prototype before anyone put it on film.
And I'm also Edward Michael Francis, the other side of this queer-ass coin, and the one who will absolutely quote that movie at the drop of a hat. Because Carly's whole era with James already had that Goldie Hawn hair flip energy of, "Sweetie, the narrative belongs to me today."
This episode is part of our November birthday extravaganza, a month-long celebration of surviving another year under capitalism and insisting on joy anyway.
Today we're diving into our article titled Carly Simon Come Upstairs from 1980, Punk, Pain, and Power, which is the perfect soundtrack for anyone who's ever realized the marriage certificate they signed was really just a punch card for wife patrol. This is our Marxists at the Music offering for November.
Full article is up on the Patreon and the website, and we're also streaming now on YouTube, TikTok, Spotify, and everywhere you get your Marxist music analysis. And we'll give the proper plug later so the Dark Lord below doesn't smite us for missing the call to action quota.
Speaking of Satan, we proudly use generative AI in many aspects of our production because disabled and neurodivergent creators deserve scalable tools, and because if capitalism gets to exploit automation, then so do we.
And we honor our comrade and friend, Myron Rosander Francis,
Myransky,
the tiny revolutionary feline whose tail twitches with the righteous fury of all women wronged by mediocre men in the 1970s.
Seriously, you should hear Myron belt "Let the River Run" at karaoke.
Exactly. Where is their Oscar?
To be fair, Myron would probably just use it as a scratching post / catbox.
Point taken. We buy them a $200 exercise wheel, and they'd rather play with the plastic ring that comes off the milk.
Cat ownership.
And finally, we'll actually be joined later today by a very special guest critic.
Ooh.
A brand new segment we are extremely excited to debut right after the Hammer and Sickle rating.
And you are not ready.
Cue the sting. Upstairs transports us back to when we were 12 and first saw Carly Simon in that stack of CDs in our family van. And we remember how our whole body pulled back even while something else leaned in.
Because we were raised on that 90s misogyny, right?
Oh, yeah.
That idea that a woman has to be cute or tiny or easy to swallow, and Carly was none of that. She was singular and bold and absolutely herself.
We weren't ready for that kind of honesty.
Yet.
Her presence was a threat to everything we'd been told women were supposed to be.
And to everything we were supposed to be, too. Because there we were in a high-control home, closeted, marinated in cynicism, terrified of anyone who dared to feel.
Then our parents slid the CD into the player, and That's the Way I've Always Heard It Should Be came out of those speakers. And that song hit us like emotional contraband.
It felt like poison because it was naming the truth.
So much.
Naming suffocation, naming the lies we were drowning in, and at 12, We didn't have the words for any of it.
Yeah, we only knew we were supposed to recoil from a woman who refused to disappear herself. A woman who didn't apologize for taking up space.
But that so-called poison was the antidote, because the world around us kept chanting, don't be too much, don't be too loud, don't want too deeply. And Carly sang the opposite. Or as she put it years later in Touched by the Sun, I need to let them say, she must have been mad.
Exactly. That was the blueprint. The invitation to be bigger than the room we were told to shrink into.
And once we understood that, once we realized that shock wasn't danger,
Girlfriend,
nothing was the same. Suddenly the poison felt less like a warning and more like a doorway.
looking back on it, we were hypnotized. That uncanny moment when someone shows you a mirror you never asked for.
And we didn't want to see ourselves in it. Not yet. Not then.
No.
But the reflection was there anyway.
It cracked something open that stayed open, even when we tried to slam it shut.
And then a few years later, 14, older enough to understand what her early music was doing to us, we finally surrendered.
We could suddenly see why it had felt dangerous.
Right.
Because she was modeling freedom, emotional range, truth-telling, all the things our controlled environment insisted were impossible.
She showed us what transformation looked like, turning pain into art, turning vulnerability into power, refusing to make herself digestible for anyone.
Her work felt almost like prophecy, like she was singing the things we weren't allowed to say.
And the wildest part is how personal it started to feel.
Yeah.
Like she somehow knew we were out there listening from the edges of our own life.
Which sounds dramatic until you remember we didn't just grow up with her. We actually crossed paths with her more than once.
Twice, sweetie. Twice. And neither time was normal, and neither time was accidental, and yes, we will talk about it later.
But for now, that's how Come Upstairs rooted itself in our life.
It became the soundtrack to our becoming, the moment we started choosing authenticity over survival mode.
And it still sounds like revolution. Every time we play it, every time those first notes hit.
So, can we talk about how Come Upstairs felt like Carly saying, we're resetting everything right now?
Okay.
Because even though she'd already been shifting towards electronics and funk by the late 70s, 1980 hits, and she flings the soft rock persona out the window onto the Massachusetts Turnpike.
Right. She even covered the Doobie Brothers' It Keeps You Running on Another Passenger, so she was dipping her toes in as early as 76, but still,
it's not a gentle lane change.
Nope. It's flangers and synths and attitude from the very first note. Like she woke up and said, you don't have to prove to me you're beautiful to strangers.
Reference.
And then she decided she wasn't proving anything to anybody ever again.
She had reason to be on the offensive. The marriage had just imploded, the industry kept patting her on the head, and she was done playing the compliant singer-songwriter role.
So much. This was wreckage becoming art. Writing about autonomy, emotional labor, power.
Diva.
Like Norma Ray with 12 strings.
And by this point, she had earned it. Her previous album, Spy, didn't sell like the label wanted, and we know how labels treat women when the instant magic stops.
Girl, they treat you like a malfunctioning appliance. And then add the husband factor on top of that. Imagine trying to make art with someone who thinks they're your final authority.
Right, and she said that out loud at the time. Quote, James can be very assertive, and he likes to call the shots. Well, my ego can't deal with that.
Oof.
That's not a marriage. That's the Titanic.
Yeah, and that line where she adds, quote, I guess I'm in awe of him in certain ways. You can hear the paralysis in it. Loving someone who unintentionally shrinks you.
So when Mike Maneri enters the picture, It feels different.
Very much.
He was creating space for her to lead.
And that's the part I love. It was an uninhibited collaboration. He filled in the structure, but she built the house.
And the players they brought in? Tony Levin, Sid McGuinness, and all those synths that were brand new at the time. We're talking Prophet 5 Oberheim.
Nice.
All the, ooh, the future is here machines.
Indubitably, she was chasing tomorrow and had been for years. To quote Anticipation, these are the good old days.
Because even when she dropped a line like that, she was daring everyone else to catch up. She was already living in the next version of herself.
Right. Done being the memory, done being the era people tried to freeze her in.
Truth.
Come Upstairs is her saying, I'm not your past, I'm your future, whether you're ready or not.
And that interview where she talks about shedding her old self, Queen, that hit us in the spine. Because who hasn't outgrown a version of themselves they were told to keep performing?
Yes. When she said, quote, that other Carly Simon is gone. There's nothing resembling her around here anymore. She sounds reborn, huh?
In that moment where she reflects on how people change over time, quote, I guess it's true that we shed our skins every 7 years. And you can practically hear her molting on every track of this album.
But let's talk about the writing.
Hell yeah.
She finally got full control. No producer telling her the song needs to be sweeter or quieter or more marketable.
Just her voice, her choices, and Maneri tossing in a hook when she wanted one.
And of course, reaction at the time was mixed.
Wah, wah.
Because anytime a woman stops performing the version of herself people prefer, they accuse her of losing her touch.
But what she actually did was claim her artistry fully, which is why this album still feels electric.
It was the moment she stopped negotiating and started creating on her own terms. Finally.
And we'll be right back.
Hello, Tankies. Breaking news, the Revolution has a mascot, and it's covered in fur.
That's right, our feline comrade, Myron Rosander Francis, has shamelessly sold out.
We told them capitalism is a hell of a drug.
Now they have an entire clothing line, Myron Merch.
4 revolutionary t-shirt designs, all celebrating the world's most photogenic Marxist cat. Perfect for protests, podcasts, or naps on the means of production.
You can find them at www.cinemarchmedia.com/Myron Merch. That's cinemarchmedia.com/MYRONMERCH.
Or just visit cinemarchmedia.com and click on the menu option for Myron Merch.
Check out the 2 of Myron as Che Guevara. Those are my favorite.
Support independent art, look incredible doing it, and remember, every purchase helps feed one very spoiled little comrade.
cinemarchmedia.com/Myron Merch.
Welcome back. So when we get into the heart of Come Upstairs, we're basically staring down a marriage that functioned like class warfare dressed up as romance.
Indubitably.
Because even when 2 artists are famous, patriarchy only has room for one genius in the house.
Right, and it's always the man. Even when the woman is out here writing hits and selling millions. Honey child, we know this pattern. We've watched it our whole lives.
And what gets me is that little rich girl comment James would throw around.
Ugh.
Like, sir, you grew up on Martha's Vineyard with a physician dad and an opera singer mother.
Hello.
Please do not assign class narratives that do not belong to you.
Exactly. The class dig was camouflage. The real conflict was gender.
Yup.
Because folk men have always treated pop women like they're doing lesser work, like hooky, glamorous choruses make you unserious.
Right. And that's the way I've always heard it should be. She literally sings, I forget how to dream. And that's more than a poetic flourish. That's a young woman looking at the future laid out in front of her and trying to figure out how she's supposed to breathe inside of it.
Because look at the way that song builds her world. A father sitting in the dark, glowing cigarette, saying nothing, a mother buried in magazines. A house full of silence instead of conversation.
It's a masterclass in emotional anthropology. She's saying, this is the model you're handing me? This is the blueprint I'm supposed to replicate? A family where no one speaks, no one dreams, no one even tries to change anything?
And then she widens the circle. My friends from college, they're all married now. And suddenly you see the generation-wide pattern. The perfect suburban setups full of silent noons, tearful nights, angry dawns.
That line is medical grade.
Uh-huh.
It suggests routine, ritual, and rot all braided together. She's telling us marriage isn't romance, it's quiet compliance punctuated by buried resentment.
And then there's the kicker.
Wait for it.
Their children hate them for the things they're not. Somebody called Drag Race. The library is open.
It really is. She's naming the whole cycle. Parents pretending, kids grieving, everyone drinking, laughing, and bandaging wounds instead of healing.
And that's why when the chorus hits, that's the way I've always heard it should be. You can hear the resentment. It's Carly saying, this is what you're offering me? This?
And then the wildest part, she sings, "We'll marry," like someone reciting a verdict. More life sentence without parole than promise.
So when she gets to the later verses, you say we'll soar like two birds through the clouds, but soon you'll cage me on your shelf. She's already predicting the shape of patriarchy before she's even married into it.
She knows exactly what's coming. Shrink yourself. Soften yourself. Dissolve yourself.
Which is why it matters so much that Come Upstairs is the album where she finally refuses all of that.
And once you hear her laying all that groundwork, you can see precisely why the culture started shaking under women's feet.
Precisely.
Because when a whole generation finally said, I'm not reenacting this, it hit like a cultural quake. Suddenly, women could leave marriages that were draining them dry, and the spike in divorces scared the hell out of men because the unpaid labor was walking out the Martha's Vineyard mansion door.
Right. It was a mass jailbreak. Generations of women saying, I do not have to martyr myself to your comfort anymore.
Carly was living inside that shift, right at the tipping point.
And her breakup wasn't just personal.
It was historical.
Bingo.
She was part of the first wave of women who were allowed to choose themselves.
And of course, the industry framed James as the serious one and Carly as the pop accessory.
Naturally.
Because patriarchy can't handle a woman who outshines a man they've anointed.
Meanwhile, she's the emotional backbone, the stability, the one holding the relationship together while he's pulling away. And then she gets blamed for wanting more agency.
That's the electricity we're hearing under this whole album. It's the sound of a woman holding the wreckage and saying, I do not accept the assignment.
The title track, Oh My Dark Lord. That song is an invitation into the engine room of a marriage, the place where she kept everything running, even while losing pieces of herself.
And the run of James, In Pain, and The Three of Us in the Dark. It really does feel like a trilogy.
Quite right.
Loving someone who was already checked out, but still expects you to carry the emotional weight.
This is the completion of the journey she started with that first single. It's her finally stepping through the door she only cracked open in 1971.
Exactly. The quiet dread becomes full clarity. The performance of The Good Wife becomes the refusal to perform at all, and the arrangement built to contain her finally loses.
Okay, deep breath, everyone. We've been in the sad basement for a minute, and before we start passing out emotional support Capri Suns, we need a palate cleanser.
Yes, we need spectacle. We need chaos. We need full circus energy. Everyone loves the circus.
Everyone, gentle comrades, welcome to Freak Show Fiancés. The top 10 men Carly Simon could have married who would have been worse than James Taylor.
The bar was low, and yet here come the limbo champions of heterosexual disaster.
All right, folks, are you ready to meet the freaks? Why are you so happy about that? That's weird. Come one, come all, and witness horror number 10. Behold, the guy who invented jazz fusion. Half man, half keytar. Try to have a normal conversation and he'll spit right back at you. Baby, can't we take this fight in 17/8? Keep your footing. He shifts meters without warning.
And number 9, John Phillips of the Mamas and the Papas. You know, folks, some things just aren't funny. They're just horrifying. Please keep your distance.
And John Derek, too.
Oh, great. Thanks, Hollywood. You just made my co-host lose their Chipotle on my shoe.
Number 8, Warner Earhart, Grand Poobah of EST. Don't stare directly into his eyes. He'll charge you $300 just for making over-emotional eye contact. A walking horror movie if we ever saw one. And whatever you do, don't try to unlock the ballroom door.
Number 7, any member of the Eagles. You don't really feel the need to explain this one, folks. Cover your drinks.
Number 6, Ike Turner. Again, no explanation needed here, folks. Cover your drinks, cover your boundaries, cover everything that matters. This is danger in a leisure suit.
Number 5, Bob Dylan, Christian Phase Edition. Step right up, folks, and listen closely. Very closely. Like, really, really, really close. He's a little hard to understand. Well, now, Carly, the Lord moves in mysterious ways, and also, I ate your leftovers because the harmonica told me to. Just remember, folks, at least it's not Tom Waits.
Number 4, Marvin Gaye's dad. 3 words, folks. Absolutely fucking not.
Number 3, Chevy Chase. Marvel at a man so difficult, entire film crews needed group therapy. You just know he'd drag Carly onto that bargain basement talk show of his, and honestly, folks, that'd be punishment enough. Keep your hands inside the cart, he bites and makes AIDS jokes. Just so funny.
Number 2, Paul Simon. No relation to Carly, of course, but remember, folks, if Carrie Fisher herself couldn't crack this man-boy's emotional constipation, no one can. No matter whether you call it Eddie or Al, witness this marriage collapse under its own poetic bloat like the end of 2012.
And at number 1, please shield the children's eyes, Phil Spector. That's right, the human cautionary tale. A man who treated recording sessions like hostage situations. If Carly had married this lunatic, Come Upstairs wouldn't be an album. It'd be Exhibit A.
And there you have it, folks. 10 fantastic fiancé freaks guaranteed to make even James Taylor look like a Ben Affleck-style weekend at Promises.
That's right, and as you exit the tent, please step around the Bob Crane animatronic. It will ask you to hold its camera, and it will insist that it's for art. And it will follow you home if you make eye contact.
Keep your limbs inside the tent, keep your boundaries tight, and keep your romantic standards 10 feet above sea level at all times.
Because compared to this lineup, Carly managed to escape with just a bronze medal in the Bad Husband Olympics.
Okay, freak show over, lights down, sanity restored.
Yeah, back to the album before someone on James Taylor's legal team hears this.
What's he gonna do? Pretend to be poor at us?
Okay, you heard it here, lawyers. I am innocent.
That's gonna be a little difficult for you to prove since we have the same exact name.
Rats. Foiled again. So can we talk about how the critics basically split into two camps?
All right.
The ones who got it, and the ones who clutched their pearls like Carly had personally burned down their record collections?
Right, because Rolling Stone came out swinging like they were personally offended that a woman dared to be messy and electronic at the same time.
They called it, quote, so confused and boring that it almost sounds resigned to its own aesthetic failure.
What?
Which is a tell, because what they're really saying is, we don't know what to do with a woman who won't stay in the folk pop lane we built for her.
Precisely. And then they dismissed the opener and Stardust as, quote, promisely slick, bitchy pop before it, quote, quickly sheds its allure.
Nice.
Like, sweetie, you just admitted you liked it until it got too real for you.
And calling them, quote, witless paranoia.
Witless.
Bitch, that is not paranoia. That is a feminist manifesto set to synthesizers, and if you can't hear that, that's a you problem.
Right, because the critics weren't just confused, they were threatened. And as Carly herself once put it in Halfway Around the World, I must be quite a girl.
Tell it. It's the perfect response to every James Taylor clutching his little man pearls over her synths and anger. Like, Jimmy boy, if your worldview collapses because a woman turned up the distortion, that says more about you than it ever could about her.
Preach. And then they go after Jesse and James for, quote, cliched imagery. Which is wild because those songs are pure planned whiplash.
But the line that really gets me, the one that still makes my blood hot, is what they say about In Pain.
Assholes.
Quote, the awful thing is that you can't believe her for a second.
That line is breathtaking in its cruelty. Because what they're really saying is, when a woman rips her heart out in front of you, don't believe her.
It's a stunning failure of empathy, and it tells you everything about who that critic was and what he thought women's music was supposed to sound like.
Meanwhile, the trade publications were out here doing the actual work of listening. Billboard praised Jesse, saying, quote, the melody is simple, yet powerful. The words are complex, and Simon's voice has never been better.
And Cashbox recognized the emotional architecture of the song, calling it something that, quote, embodies the push and pull of love, the ailment and the cure, the person we try to resist, but cannot.
Which is exactly what the song is doing.
Record World praised Take Me As I Am, noting that, quote, Carly is distraught over a lover with a wandering heart, and they called the title track a, quote, saucy invitation full of lyrical, nocturnal delights.
So you had this split. The serious rock critics acting like she'd committed a crime involving gated drums, and the industry folks going, actually, this woman knows what she's doing.
And the pundits were divided too. Some praised her for prioritizing artistic momentum over convention. Others felt she'd stretched herself too far.
Which, let's be honest, was the same refrain that had followed every single one of her experiments.
Say it again.
But it never stopped her from following her instincts.
And Jesse, that shimmering acoustic track with echoes of No Secrets era Carly, became a commercial success, hitting number 11 on the Billboard Hot 100.
But the rest of the album, it puzzled people. Too synthy, too raw, too political, too painful.
Yeah.
Basically, too everything.
But here's the thing. In retrospect, Come Upstairs is now seen as a cult classic, a defining pivot point where Carly breaks from a nice woman model and dives headfirst into emotional exposure.
Quite right. And in 2020, music critic Quentin Harrison wrote that the album was, quote, conceived in a period fraught with unprecedented upheaval in her private life, and that Simon, quote, mined her pain and refined it into nothing short of pure pop artistry.
Nice.
It is an album more than worthy of revisiting today.
And a 2018 album-by-album reassessment called Come Upstairs underrated and praised Jesse as arguably better than nearly any of Carly's top 10 hits.
So the critical reassessment isn't just about taste changing.
No.
It's about the culture finally catching up to what she was doing.
Because what felt like too much in 1980 now reads like a fortune teller, a woman refusing to stay in her lane long before that became culturally acceptable.
She was predicting us, predicting this moment where emotional honesty is the revolution and refusal to shrink is the act of resistance.
And the critics who couldn't hear that in 1980, they weren't listening to the music. They were policing the woman making it.
And we know how that story ends.
We do.
She kept making the work, and eventually, the world learned how to listen.
What do you think? Do you agree with the critics at the time about this album?
Is it simply histrionics and fury in service of nothing?
Or do you agree with the reassessment this album has undergone?
Let us know in the comments.
And we'll return right after this message.
Hey, film geeks. Ever wonder what happens when art, cult dynamics, and capitalism collide outside the movie theater?
Then it's time to step off the soundstage and onto the football field with our sister podcast, The Marching Revolution.
Same host, same Marxist lens, just with rifles, drums, and flags instead of cameras and lighting rigs.
We dig into the hidden hierarchies and power systems inside the marching arts. Drum corps, color guard, indoor percussion, marching band, the whole sparkly, sweaty spectrum.
Think Spotlight meets Drumline, but everyone's wearing sequins.
And the only thing multiplying faster than the drill sets are Nick Cannon's dependents.
We expose how competitive performance culture mirrors capitalism, cults, and class warfare.
New episodes drop every fourth Sunday on Patreon with a wide release the following Thursday.
If you've ever said, cadets were a cult, congratulations, you found your people.
For more information, visit cinemarchmedia.com and patreon.com/cinemarchmedia.
And you can find both The Marching Revolution and Marxists at the Movies on TikTok, YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts,
and everywhere else you get your revolutionary media fix.
The Marching Revolution, reflecting the stories, struggles, and radical possibilities of the marching arts.
Check it out today, comrades.
Welcome back. Now let's explore the album track by track.
Finally.
Come Upstairs kicks the album off with the eponymous tune.
Love it.
Like she's cracking open a door with the mix of seduction and dread.
Because that trance-like bass line and that looping piano don't feel like romance. They feel like repetition as ritual.
That relentless tom pattern in the drums really drives that idea of relationships being a dance.
Shout out to studio legend Steve Gadd on drums here. The man's playing like a metronome with a grudge, locked into this compulsive groove that won't let you escape.
Like someone's going through the motions, hoping muscle memory will resurrect a feeling that's already faded.
Right. The lyrics, "Come upstairs, we'll be all alone," sounds seductive until you sit with it and realize it's actually bargaining.
A woman trying to pull a dying love back from the brink by repeating the invitation like a spell she hopes will suddenly work.
And the bargaining gets more desperate.
We can take off the phone. You can take off my clothes.
She can feel the cracks forming, but girlfriend knows what men respond to.
You mean the phone?
Yes, Rose. The phone. Good job.
You're welcome. Anyway, and that acknowledgement of "I've known you for years" is her reaching for history as a lifeline.
Trying to yank shared time into the present, as if mentioning longevity will patch over what's already fractured and slipping.
And the music mirrors her desperation with that obsessive, almost claustrophobic rhythm that traps you right in the cycle of denial she's stuck in.
Exactly, and the way her voice moves between confident and pleading gives away the whole game.
Because she's performing desire like a job now.
Boom.
Turning intimacy into labor.
She's not even feeling it anymore, but she hopes it will save something.
And all that wood and fire imagery she reaches for doesn't feel like heat at all.
Nope. It feels like someone striking cold matches hoping one will catch, like resurrection instead of passion, like she's trying to haul something already dead back into the land of the living.
Show
the surface and bruise underneath.
Because she frames it as a fantasy about some glamorous rock figure.
When what she's really doing is mapping her growing disconnect from James Taylor, who at this point is drifting away from her into the fog of his own celebrity and demons.
Your glamour is golden, but I'd rather have you in my arms instead sounds sweet until you realize she's describing the split between the icon the world worships and the man she can no longer reach.
Yeah.
And she's watching him recede into the distance even while he's physically in the room.
The song structure is devastating. She starts as the fan dreaming from a distance, then becomes the woman who actually has him, only to realize proximity doesn't mean presence.
Truth.
The shift from "if only I had you" to "because I have you" should feel like a victory, but instead, it's hollow. Fame is the third person in bed with them now.
And the production is drenched in the exact early 80s glam pop shine she's critiquing. Shout out to Comrade Shredder Sid McGuinness on solo guitar. I guess he got bored working with the likes of Leonard Cohen, Laurie Anderson, and Bob Dylan and decided to slum it with Carly.
The whole track is about alienation via image, about loving someone who has become an untouchable figure that she helped build but can't hold anymore.
And by the time she repeats Stardust over and over at the end, it sounds almost bitter, like she's mocking the transcendence she can't access.
She's singing to a hologram, and she knows it.
Rock and roll man, breaking all of the records and rules, sold out in an hour. The stage is your own bedroom. I have your poster close to my bed. Earphones glued to my head. I'd rather have you in my arms instead.
Then she blows the whole thing wide open with track 3, Them, going full sci-fi feminist scream.
Brilliantly laying out patriarchy like an extraterrestrial species that exists to consume women.
Because those eerie synths and sharp edges make it feel like romantic invasion.
They want you all body and soul, then it's just your body, then they go is the spine of the song.
The anthropology of it all is stunning.
And the genius is using them instead of him or men, turning them into a species that can never truly be understood or trusted.
Oh, and when she hits the battle imagery,
He got bored, went to war.
she's linking abandonment in relationships to masculine violence on a larger scale.
Making the point that the personal and political wounds have the same root.
And when she sings, "I got big and round and lovable, he saw I was immovable," it carries all the weight of pregnancy, body change, ownership, rejection.
This is a manifesto about disposability and exploitation by way of Devo.
Right. The way women are devoured and then blamed for being gone. And she even implicates herself in the ritual, admitting she was complicit in her own consumption.
Until she finally spits out "them we are not" as a refusal to assimilate into their logic.
Well, logic knows not a woman scorned.
I know that them we are not. I have loved them a lot, and I have loved a lot of them. You could say that I'm experienced enough to know that they are aliens. Do you keep them away, beg them to stay?
Jessie arrives like the album's sugar-coated distraction. All acoustic warmth and gorgeous layering. And because the song's a hit, people pretend it's sweet. But underneath that radio polish is a rebound fantasy so fragile, it's basically emotional drywall.
Jesse, quick, come here. I won't tell a soul, not even myself.
She's openly saying this moment isn't real, isn't stable, isn't even something she can look at directly.
And the secrecy gives away how much she knows she's using him to patch a hole she hasn't healed yet.
And the list of things she won't do, the flowers, the wine, the sheets, the waiting.
Oh, she ditches all that bullshit immediately when he appears, proving how grief makes boundaries into pumice.
How can you swear you're done with someone and still collapse the second they show up.
And when she admits, my friends will all say she's gone again, she's acknowledging that the people around her see the cycle clearly.
Because this is just distraction.
And all the modulations and radiant glow in the production can't hide that she's drowning while insisting she's floating.
Jesse, quick come here. I won't tell a soul, not even myself. Jesse, that you've come back to me. My friends will all say she's gone again. But how can anyone know what you are to me? That I'm in heaven again because you've come back to me. Whoa.
There's track 5, James, where she strips all the metaphor away and sings directly to the man himself.
It becomes one of her rawest, most vulnerable pieces because she wants something she already knows she can't have.
Which is simply intimacy free from ego, addiction, and silence.
Let us become like water together. She's begging for their boundaries to dissolve, for them to become fluid again instead of rigid and separate. And the way she uses elements, sand, air, rain, it feels like she's reaching for nature itself to glue them back together.
The line about sitting on the edge of her bed like when they first spent nights together is her trying to resurrect an earlier version of them.
The one where his guitar and his body felt like unity instead of competition.
Like collaboration instead of hierarchy. Listen to the haunted echo under the acoustic piano. It practically bleeds out of your speakers.
Yeah, and when she says, let the music speak for your heart, it lands like a surrender because she's admitting he won't speak to her directly anymore. That's all she gets now is the residue, the performance instead of the man. And the whole song reads like a last letter he'll never actually take in.
And knowing what she wrote later in her autobiography,
that he didn't respect her as a songwriter.
Yeah. It turns this track into something even heavier. Like the song itself is an invisible ink confession she's pushing toward him, hoping he'll see her.
Even though she knows he won't. The whole song is a letter he'll never read, sung in a language he's forgotten how to speak.
Sit on the edge of my bed as when we first spent nights together. Your body wrapped around your guitar. Let the music speak for your heart. Let them combine like one.
Next, In Pain hits, and she finally lets the lion out of the den.
The guitars grind and the rhythm staggers like someone stumbling through the wreckage of a breakup with no poetry left to hide behind.
Right. This is grief turning feral. Survival mode vocals cracking and spitting.
And that opening image of gray sky and November woods feels like seasonal depression, the OST.
So what I'm hearing is she's using the weather as emotional shorthand. Cold in the sky, cold in the relationship, cold in her own damn bones.
You read my mind. And that brutal pivot from remembering intensity to hearing, let's just be friends, reframes everything as manipulation.
Like those fields where they burn together, becoming the place where she unravels alone.
And that moon taunting her feels like the whole universe pointing out how the story was lopsided all along.
You might say she's not just yelling at him, she's yelling at herself, at the world, and at every moment she wasn't taken seriously.
Because the repetition of in pain doesn't soothe anything. It hammers like a migraine naming itself over and over.
It's not subtle, my friend. It's raw honesty set to a track that refuses to let anyone look away.
I didn't tell you what to do. We were burning, 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 burning. You made love to me. We were crying, we were flying, we were dying in these fields.
on to track 7. The Three of Us in the Dark gets misread all the time as some kinky threesome moment.
When really the three feels like Carly, James, and Fame crammed into one emotional room.
Or perhaps her split selves. The woman, the lover, the performer, all elbowing each other for space.
Oh, yeah. That whole where do I resist and one is just a guest language seems like someone trying to referee her own fragmentation.
Right. She's dividing up her psyche like siblings dividing up a bedroom in a mediocre sitcom.
Emotional Full House?
Ding, 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 we have a winner.
And the way the fiddle and wind weave together is her reaching for the organic partnership her marriage should have been.
But instead, she's lying next to someone who's as innocent as the moon, which is such a read.
Uh-huh. She's basically calling him a blank canvas she projected love onto while he contributed nothing.
And that noir rock groove, almost Dire Straits energy, makes it feel like she's living in a moment that's already passed.
Right. The dark is alienation, being next to someone whose presence has turned into absence.
Invoking God as the one who won't see these entangled embraces feels like she's naming the moral scramble of loving someone while losing yourself.
I didn't hear you walk in the door. You called to me years ago. I had heard your voice before. One is all afire.
Up next, Take Me As I Am lands like a glam rock bitch slap across the face of male chauvinist fantasy.
Because she's done being the chill girl who exists only in his imagination.
Correct. She lists out his dream woman like she's reading a police sketch.
And then she blows it apart with gutter imagery, saying, actually, that perfect woman, she gets messy, she gets drunk, and she gets real.
So, in other words, she drags his fantasy into daylight and shows it for the Ken doll reality it is?
Yes, especially when she points to how he's already checked out emotionally. Passion lost among the stars, while he waits for a new fantasy to save him from reality.
And then that line. For some other dream and driver, I am that romantic stranger.
It's the power pivot. The moment she rips the gaze out of his hands and says, oh, dearie, someone else sees me as magic even if you don't.
Reportedly written after catching him checking out another woman, here Carly basically clips off James's manhood with pinking shears and feminist grit.
Yeah, and Lorena Bobbitt thought she was the innovator.
Whatever. Carly was doing that in song form a full 13 years earlier.
She's not the woman he wants her to be.
Because she's someone else's impossible dream, and he's the only constant in this cycle of dissatisfaction.
You think she knows the Bible and can swim the English Channel, writes novels in her spare time in a cabin in the woods. Wish I'd gone to college and you wish I'd let my hair grow. Wish I didn't have so many moods. But
Finally, track 9, The Desert, closes the album in this eerie, minimalist whisper that feels less like devastation and more like waking up after a blast.
Right again, she surveys the emotional rubble with this stunned calm, like a woman standing in a city she barely recognizes.
And nobody said what to me. Lands like a soft collapse. She sounds almost gleeful about it.
Because the desert works as wasteland and blank slate, a space where no one demands, questions, or pulls anything from her anymore.
It makes sense. The repetition of nobody becomes almost meditative. Nobody shocked, locked, talked, shoved, loved.
And it should read like abandonment, but instead it feels like relief. like silence finally giving her back her own thoughts.
The white night and moonlight imagery turns emptiness into something spectral and weirdly beautiful.
And that mirror, reflecting only sky, erases her image in this oddly honest way. Like she's finally seeing the truth instead of the performance.
I agree. The desert is the wide open nothing where the next version of her gets to begin.
The album ending is not resolute. Instead, Carly closes out with Survival in Solitude, which at that point might have been the closest thing to peace she'd had in years.
I was in the desert, free to live or die, looking in the mirror and seeing just the sky. Nobody got to me. Said what to me? Nobody shoved me.
And we'll be right back. Hey, comrades, if you love what we do here at Marxists at the Movies and the Marching Revolution, we've got a way for you to join the cause.
That's right. Join us at patreon.com/Cinemarch Media.
For just $6 a month, you can become a card-carrying comrade. You'll get all our news updates, early access to articles,
And the deep satisfaction of knowing you're helping dismantle capitalism one podcast at a time.
if you're feeling extra revolutionary or just really like bonus content, the $10 Hammer and Visionary tier gives you early access to full audio episodes, exclusive behind-the-scenes posts, and extra goodies from both shows.
And of course, both tiers come with surprise cameos from our feline comrade, Myron Rosander Francis, Cat, Revolutionary, and occasional sound engineer when they walk across the keyboard.
2 content streams plus 1 adorable kitty for the price of 1?
Now, that's a bargain.
You can sign up at patreon.com/Cinemarch Media, where you'll also find Myron merch, articles, and all our links.
We're also on TikTok, YouTube, Spotify, and basically everywhere else the algorithm hasn't shadow banned us yet.
Support independent media that still believes in solidarity, sincerity, and sarcasm.
Because the revolution will not be monetized, but it will be Patreonized.
Huge. Join us today at patreon.com/Cinemarch Media.
And be sure to check out our homepage at cinemarchmedia.com.
Visit today. Welcome back. So, before we wrap up, we have to talk about that Omni segment on Carly from 1980.
Hell yes.
Because as many of us know, Carly has severe social anxiety.
True.
She rarely appears in public or does interviews, so that was an event.
So much.
That was the art world equivalent of summoning the Avengers, except every one of them was hopped up on nicotine, ennui, and postmodernism.
Right, because who looks at Carly Simon in 1980 and says, let's bring in Andy Warhol, Larry Rivers, and Marisol, and let them explain what's happening? That's not a news segment, that's a seance.
And the great part is how seriously they take her.
They're not treating her like a pop singer doing the late 70s promo rounds.
Nope, they're treating her like a subject worthy of full artistic obsession.
Warhol goes first, of course.
Sure.
Full Marilyn treatment, bright colors, flat glamour, the whole fame machine halo. He paints her like she's already myth, like she's the inevitable conclusion of the decade. And her lips take up about a quarter of the canvas.
It's so great. Carly sees it and goes, look at those lips, with this delighted little gasp, like she's meeting a version of herself she didn't know she could be.
Then Rivers shows up with those gorgeous pencil renderings. Soft, loose, like he's trying to sketch the feeling of Carly Simon before the feeling disappears.
And she looks at them and says, this is the way I looked in my high school graduation picture.
Which is such a tender response, like he's captured some early version of her she'd forgotten.
And then Marisol,
Yes.
my chaotic queen, hits us with that neon fever dream. It's Carly's profile from the back, abstract, glowing, weird in the best way. And Carly looks at it and just says, this reminds me of a dream I had, which is honestly perfect because the whole painting looks like it came right out of someone's subconscious.
And all of this happening while she's behind them, absolutely rocking the living hell out of Take Me As I Am.
Yes. Not soft rock Carly, not folk princess Carly.
This is Carly with Snap.
Tell it.
Who sings like she's rewriting her own narrative in real time.
Yes. The band is cooking, she's in full command, and these three art world titans are basically scrambling to keep up with her energy.
Oh, yes.
It's like watching the culture realize in real time, oh, she's not who we thought she was.
Warhol gives her icon, Rivers gives her soul, Marisol gives her aura, and Carly gives them all a performance that simply says, take me as I am and watch me rock.
And that's what I love. Even with three major artists trying to define her, all they can really do is orbit her.
Headline.
They can't catch her.
Which is invariably what the industry couldn't do with Come Upstairs. They wanted her frozen in place, and she showed up with neon, distortion, a live wire of a voice, and a paintbrush dipped in her own womanly fire.
What strikes one here is how this album shows Carly at her most radical, right?
Indeed.
Because she's pushing against every emotional and sonic wall anyone ever tried to trap her in, and the critics kept missing that she was never trying to play their game in the first place. To them, she was just another passenger, someone they could shuffle into a safe little folk corner, instead of a woman steering her own damn ship.
It's simple. She's done being contained. You can hear it from the hypnotic desperation of the opener all the way to that sci-fi feminist scream in Them to the lone wolf canvassing the desert, picking through the scraps like she's saying, nobody does it better.
I see what you did there.
Quite.
And that whole sweep maps the emotional terrain of a woman refusing to shrink anymore. Refusing to be diminished just so other people feel comfortable.
Which is why the critics freaked, right?
Right.
Because they wanted Carole King, and she showed up with Laurie Anderson fire.
They couldn't reconcile the woman she'd become with the version they'd invented.
Ouch.
And isn't that the entire point?
Oh, for sure. Because her refusal to be digestible was deliberate, love. She wasn't staying safe so a bunch of men with typewriters could feel secure about their categories.
And the thing is, it wasn't embraced in its time, but 40 years later, we know better.
We know this is one of her most important records, don't we?
Oh, for sure.
And definitely her most political, because she's using New Wave like a scalpel to dissect marriage, power, visibility, all the costs of being seen.
And she wrote almost every word, right? Directed the production, shed her whole previous skin, and came out as something the industry couldn't file under anything neat or manageable.
And that's where the personal story hits. Because that 12-year-old in the van, intrigued by a face on a CD case, they didn't know they were looking at themselves, did they?
No. They had no idea her refusal to be traditionally beautiful or traditionally small was the survival model they needed in a house where suffocation was normal.
So she was teaching us something we didn't have language for yet.
Times 10.
That you and I could turn pain into art that doesn't apologize or shrink.
And that's why we don't see her as some distant icon, right?
Right. We see her as kin, a peer, a kindred spirit who cracked the map early and left it there for people like us to follow.
And she's one of the only celebrities we'd actually want to meet. Not for fame, but for recognition. Because something in her work feels like home.
Well, remember earlier when we hinted that maybe this album wasn't just important to us, it was personal?
Uh-huh.
Well, my friends, it's time.
It's time.
It's time to tell them the story.
I'm so excited, because for decades we've carried this quiet little truth.
Yepper.
This thing we've never said out loud, that we didn't just grow up listening to Carly Simon.
Wait for it.
We crossed paths with her. More than once.
No lies.
And not in some fan meets idol way, in this strange, digital, intimate way that only the early internet could produce.
Tell them. Tell them about the chat room, the moment everything tilted.
It was the Young Carly Fans AOL chat room, which we made because we were 14 and lonely and desperate to find anyone who understood why her music was oxygen. One night, someone entered. No username we recognized, just a presence, asking why a kid our age cared so deeply about this older artist.
And the way they asked, not mocking, not confused, but curious, almost protective.
Totally.
Like they already knew the answer.
It wasn't until years later, reading the liner notes of her Clouds in My Coffee compilation, that we realized who we might have been chatting with.
Yup. Among the odds and ends she included with the record, there was a letter from a gentleman who'd struck up a friendship with Carly in the early 90s on AOL.
And he described meeting her in a chat room.
Like, what the hell, Karen?
We were thunderstruck.
Right? We didn't know whether to laugh or cry. That was when it hit us. The chat room, the person with the questions. It might have very well been Carly.
But wait, there's more. When we posted a simple question on her Ask Carly website, just asking about the inspiration behind Take Me As I Am, she answered.
She did.
Directly, personally, and out of nowhere, she just unloaded the whole story.
Crazy.
No assistant, no PR polish, just Carly.
Explained that the tune's inspiration came from sitting in the car with James and seeing him surreptitiously check out another woman in the rearview mirror. She just let it fly. Booby, I miss the prehistoric web. There was nothing like it.
Hello? Not to sound like a fogey of the elderly variety, but kids today, they don't know. Now you're lucky if your favorite TikToker sends their follower army of tweens after you.
2 encounters. A mysterious presence in a dead little AOL chat room, and then the woman herself answering a question only a real fan would ask.
Breadcrumbs. Tiny, glittering breadcrumbs dropped across years like she was saying, I see you. You're not alone. And what you feel in this music is real.
Because for us, she was a survival story.
And whether that anonymous chat room voice was her or wasn't, it doesn't matter.
Oh?
What matters is that the art found us. The artist reached back, and somewhere in that exchange, we learned that the world could be bigger than the room we were trapped in.
Which brings us right here to this moment, to this verdict.
Quite right. The hammer and sickle gods lie in wait for our offerings.
This one was not hard to rate.
Nope, not at all. Carly helped crack open a new world for us and will forever be paying back that debt.
So the least we can do is give this album the attention and rating it deserves.
Which is
5 out of 5.
Woo! The full hammer and sickle. No hesitation.
Because this album not only told our story, it busted open a future, and every one of us who needed that door walked through it.
Has divorce affected your family?
Do you have an artist like Carly who became a source of strength during that or any other difficult time in your life?
Well, don't be shy now. Let us know in the comments.
You can rest assured Myron reads every single one. You can tell their responses by the paw prints and specks of fresh stuff.
Speaking of, we gotta talk about that. Things have been dicey since they became social media manager. They've been posting Instagram kibble coupons instead of the cross promos, and one time I even caught them sharing a centerfold from Playcat.
Oop.
This might come up during their review.
It's okay, we're still in a capitalist system, so as long as they're turning a profit, it's moral.
Funny how that works.
Myron is the Gordon Gekko of this outfit, in that they love to chase geckos.
Great. Our cat's running a hedge fund. We're doomed.
You mean a lizard fund?
Don't. Just don't.
Okay, folks, so we teased this in part 1, but the mystery critic is...
Myron Rosander Francis.
Ta-da! Yes, friends. Dust off your cheap tote bags and pour yourself a cup of white privilege, because for the next minute, we are absolutely doing this Cokie Roberts style.
Cue our all things considered, but make it feline theme music. Welcome to Ask Myron, the public radio program where I talk way too close to the mic, and one small revolutionary tabby provides cultural insight with the gravitas of a veteran broadcaster and the emotional honesty of a creature who knocks pens off tables for sport. Myron, thank you for being here today. A soft approving hiss. Understated, reflective. Myron, let me begin with the title track. How did Come Upstairs strike you? A low, satisfied growl. A classic Myron signal for the bass line made my spirit feel tall. Lovely. Now, when Carly hits that feral break in pain, what did that evoke? Extraordinary. A full lion roar, which in our field translates to, yes, scream your truth, mother. Last question, Myron. Your overall impression of the album? A quick, excited spit. Classic. The ancient feline stamp of ecstatic approval. And a trill for the road. Thank you, Myron Rosander Francis, for your wisdom, your hairballs, and your unwavering dedication to the arts.
Well, if a house cat gives us a lion's roar and a victory spit, that's a 5-star endorsement in any dialect of feline.
Which is why this record lands exactly where it should, at the absolute top of our scale.
Up next on NPR, the socioeconomic history of whispering with Peregrine Thurch Anderson, followed by the ethics of barnacle removal with Dr. Millicent Foghorn.
And later tonight, What's That Down There? Hosted by Amos Pigfucker. And now, we return you to your regularly scheduled enema. All right, all you spoiled girls, what did we learn today?
We learned that if your partner ever says, "Let's just be friends," you should immediately respond with, "Great, because I've been meaning to unfriend you since 1978.
We also learned that if a man has the wandering eye while you're sitting together in the Camaro, the correct response is to write a glam rock diss track so iconic he has to harmonize with it for the rest of his career.
And apparently we learned that if a critic can't understand a woman with a synthesizer, he'll just write a review that sounds like a Yelp complaint about a haunted Panera.
And we definitely learned that if you ever wander into an AOL chat room and think, this stranger is oddly invested in my feelings, congratulations, you might be talking to an Oscar Grammy winner.
Or Ted Kaczynski.
It's a coin toss, really.
But underneath all of that, the deeper truth is that Carly showed us how transformation works. Not by becoming smaller, but by outgrowing the room, the marriage, the myth, and walking out with your own name intact.
It's the reminder that survival isn't passive. Sometimes it's loud. Sometimes it's weird. Sometimes it has synthesizers, and sometimes it's the thing that saves a kid in a Chicago burb who doesn't yet have the words for why they can't breathe.
We hope you've enjoyed this Marxists at the Music presentation of Carly Simon, Come Upstairs from 1980, Punk, Pain, and Power.
This episode was part of our month-long birthday extravaganza. If you want the full article, it's up on Patreon and on cinemarchmedia.com. check out the Myron merch.
And you can find both the Marching Revolution and Marxists at the Movies on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, and everywhere else you get your queer leftist audio chaos.
This is Marxists at the Movies.
Bye.
Scene opens, white lights dim down low.
Thank you for listening to the Marxists at the Movies podcast.
Cinema whispers
Don't
where
forget to like
truths
and
can
comment.
grow. From shadows deep and screens ignite, the proletariat comes alive tonight. Tonight, Marxists at the movies, bright and raw, breaking through the reels to rewrite the law. Workers of the world in every frame, changing the credits, rewriting the name. Popcorn power and the working class dream. Each flickers with a revolutionary beam. The heroes rise from the factory floor, challenging the scripts and demanding more. Behind the velvet curtains lies the fight. Directors of destiny taking the light. The dialogue chimes with justice in stride. The proletariat walks where stars collide. Marxists at the movies, bright and raw, breaking through the reels to rewrite the law. Workers of the world in every frame, changing the credits, rewriting the name. Blockbusters topple.
Copyright 2025, Cinemarch Media.